Welcome back to Know It All. I'm here with image coach Renee Monroe of Image Matters, and we're talking about dressing for success, also etiquette, and now your physical presence, Renee. So talk to me about that.
Physical presence is a spiritual feeling of dignity and confidence that you feel from someone when you meet them for the first time or the second time or the 50th time. It's a presence, it's a charisma, it's a feeling that you get from someone. And it's not a height or a weight issue at all.
Okay.
It's all about the way you carry yourself. And the physical presence comes into play with learning to command your body language. That's what it boils down to. A lot of people are not familiar with body language, so we use physical presence, you know, same kind of thing.
And it's interesting that you bring up it has nothing to do with your height or weight. It's
No.
just is it sort of that confidence sort of exuding
It is.
and sort of shaping your attitude and the way that you look at life.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, it's an attitude, but it's an attitude that has to come from deep inside. It's something that has to come from the firm belief in yourself that you're good at something, that you're a good person, that you have something of value to give to others.
Right.
And that comes forth. It's not a bragging thing. It's not a vanity issue. It's a fact.
So tell me the ways that I can use my body to create physical presence.
Okay. It's all about being able to think on your feet. And when you have a full command of your own personal body language, because it is a language that you speak to other people, and too many of us don't know what that language is that we're speaking. We really don't have a clue. It's an acquired skill, and it's something that you have to stay aware of at all times. So things like, for example, the use of your hands when you speak. A lot of people tend to use their hands when
Yes,
they
I'm
talk.
a hand talker. I'm guilty of that as well.
Most of us are. But you have to bear in mind that we all have something we call a personal space,
Right.
and you don't want to infringe on someone else's personal space. So if I came up to you and started talking to you like this, I mean, you're intimidated a little bit. You're like, you want to draw back. And so that's a no-no.
So I
Okay.
think of physical space. I think of just standing too closely to the person. But you're saying just even with hand gestures, it can be too much. Oh wow!
You know, some people are really expansive, and next thing you've hit somebody in the head or whatever. So, and the other thing is being able to, for example, maintain eye contact when you're speaking with someone. That has been a really difficult one for me with the new immigrants to Canada, because in a lot of cultures, looking someone in the eye is an insult. You know, it's disrespectful to do
Really?
that. So it's been very difficult to help people to do that. But Image Matters has some tricks to help them around that one. Body language is about the nervous habits that we have that are totally unconscious to us. And I'll just give you a couple of examples. There
Yes,
was
please.
a lady, a gentleman actually, who came in for an interview a couple of years ago. And he seemed quite calm on the outside, you know. And we asked him a question that obviously made him think, a behavioral type of question about a situation, and he had to think about it. And he did not know he was doing this, but his finger was up his nose.
Oh my gosh!
I'm serious as a judge, up his nose. And I'm like, does he know what he's doing? So I'm in the background like, he wasn't getting it. He had no idea he had his finger up his nose.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's just one of those things that we just don't recognize that we're doing.
No, we're doing it.
How do you help someone control?
Well, it's about self-awareness. If you
Okay.
don't know you're doing it, then you can't, you know, put something in place to help you do something else. Women are especially guilty of twirling their hair, playing with their hair. You watch daytime TV, the soap operas, they're constantly flicking their hair behind the elbows. That is so distracting when you're speaking to someone. You have to learn to stay calm, stay composed, and have your physical presence going for you.
What about sitting down? Your posture when you're sitting.
Sitting down is the same thing. You always sit at the very back of a chair
Okay,
so
good.
that your spine is properly aligned. And when you're in that position, you can stay in that position for a relatively long period of time. Because the other distracting thing is when you start to switch and change motion and cross your legs and uncross your legs, and you're fidgeting. And especially in an interview situation, that's very, very distracting.
Well, I have to say, knowing that you were coming here today, I was very, very nervous. I was like, okay, what if I wear the wrong thing? And I've got to make sure I sit up and, but it did help though. And I mean, I have to think about, you know, making yourself be taken more seriously? Like, you know,
That's,
how
that's what it's about.
is that connected to?
Of course, of course. Everybody wants to be taken seriously. Everybody wants to be valued. Not everybody wants to take the measures necessary to do that. They're thinking, you know, you get to know me and you love me. Yes, that might be so. But the gut instinct that people feel about someone very seldom goes away. And that's why that so-called first impression is so very important. And that's why the way you look and the way you conduct yourself is so important. So body language is definitely a big thing. You've got to build it in as part of your attitude, to live in the moment and to conduct yourself with positive expectancy. You're always expecting the best.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of people out there, for example, the unemployed, that for whatever reason, whatever time in their lives find themselves without a job. It's a hard work, job searching, particularly these days, and it's hard on the emotions.
So when you're approached by people that are, you know, in between jobs, what are they asking you for specifically?
Well, to begin with, they want a way to stay motivated, you know, and when you can focus on yourself and you know that what you're being taught or being recommended to do is something that's going to make you that much more personable and acceptable, and you just might make the, you know, the one or two that gets called for the job in the long run, then it's to their benefit. And so it's not usually a hard task to get people to understand the importance of it. I have had clients that will listen to me, and I see that glazed look come over their eyes, and I know that they're just not there. They're not ready.
Anything that I just said, right?
They're not ready.
And physical presence and just commanding your presence, I know that has to do with speaking.
Yes.
Conversation.
Yes. Conversation is a way of letting people know not only do you have a personality, you've got some education or knowledge, and you've got some wit about you.
Right.
You know, having an inflection in your voice when you speak. A lot of people speak with a very monotone type of voice, which is very boring to listen to. You have to have some inflection, and you have to have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
And particularly, again, in the job search, people are so serious about the whole thing that they end up turning people off because it's, you know, the stern face and the cryptic answers, and you know, it's just their personality is not being allowed to come through.
And how does that come into play when you're working with people from all over the world and different accents? How does that come into play?
It's all about being approachable, and that's where the other body language item comes in, which is the expression on your face. A lot of people are not aware that they have a very stern look on their face. I remember being told many years ago that I had a haughty look about me. And I was really, I was totally taken aback, because I'm the most friendly person you want to meet, but haughty? Yeah. And then I saw some pictures of myself, and it's true. It's a bearing. I don't know if it's chromosomal, but I'm very much like my mother, and she's that same way.
Right.
So posture was always a big deal for me. I was quite a bit more overweight a couple of years ago, so I had a double chin, so I made a point of this.
Keeping your chin up.
And little did I know that all it did was make me look haughty.
Well, you know what?
So?
I've actually gotten the same. I remember walking, you know, before, and you know, people would say, "Oh, smile! Like, don't forget to smile."
Exactly.
And I'm like, "Oh,
yeah.
What am I supposed to walk around like this? Like, you know, just grinning to myself?"
Just a pleasant expression.
But I know what they mean. It's just to not look, you know, the complete opposite is what I
because
tend
you're closed off.
Yeah.
And think about it. If you're working in a team, or you're working with another person, and you walk into the office every morning and they're looking at you like this.
It's a bad
like
start
you're
to the
thinking,
day.
okay, what did I do wrong, right?
Yes.
Whereas if you walk into a room and someone says, "Hi, good morning, I was waiting for you to come here, let's get to work." Well, hello, what a totally different atmosphere you have to work with.
Yeah.
And again, it's a personality thing.
Yes.
And it's all about self-awareness, because if you don't know you're doing it, you can't fix it.
And attitude. Attitude's everything. How do you, I don't want to use the word fake, but how do you, we all have those bad days, right? And, you know, where you've got to still put on this front as if everything's A-okay. How do we do that?
One of the first things I learned when I went into the fashion and wardrobing industry is that you leave your problems at home. If you've had a fight with your husband just before you close the front door, you get in the car and you have to forget about it. You have to put on your professional face. And that's what the attitude is. That's what your physical presence is. That's when your body language comes into play. Leave it where it is. Don't bring it into the office. Don't bring it into the situations that you have to face that day. It's not the other person's fault. It's your personal issue. Leave it alone.
Yes.
You know, let that body language and that physical presence take over. As I said, live in the moment and work with positive expectancy in your head. Think positive. Whatever I'm going to do today, I'm going to do it well.
Oh, that's great advice. And what about things like slang, profanity, potty mouths out there? How do you contain those people?
Yeah, and you know, it's amazing. I've got more than my fair share of friends that every second word is a bad word.
Yes.
Or a profanity.
And some people don't even realize that they're, because it's like an and or a the or a but,
That's
right?
exactly it. That's exactly it.
It just comes out.
However, it's interesting to find that these same people, when put in a certain situation, for example, in the company of older people, they don't use that language. So you can control it, but they choose not to. And I've always taught my children also that you have to show people that you have some degree of education. And using profanity every second word does not spell education and class. It doesn't. So those kinds of things are very important to remember. Ums and ahs and like, you know, and like this and like and you
like
use guys.
Like is a big one.
Ooh, yeah. And
that's a Canadian thing, I think.
It's habitual though. It's something that our peers speak, so we speak. But you have to know when it's appropriate and when it isn't.
When to tone it down. Yeah, some people get overboard with the likes, right? It's every other. And you think with all these tips and all this information that you've got for us, you know, you were touching on it before, some companies not willing to incorporate this. You know, why would that be? This is so useful.
Well, you know, with the economic downturn the way it has been, a lot of personal development budgets have been cut in a lot of companies. So although they may recognize the value of it, for whatever reason, they're not willing to spend the dollars behind it. But if I can say anything to those organizations, it is, if you want the very best from your employees, you need to be able to invest the time and the money in them.
For sure.
If they've got skills and they've got talents, why are you keeping them behind?
Yeah. Well, we'll have lots more on that and more on the wardrobe. Stay with us.